Welcome to Reading the Bible Together and to Genesis chapter 44 and the happy reunion of Joseph and his brothers sharing a meal in Joseph's home. But wait, Joseph has not yet had his fill of revenge. There is one more twist of the knife to come. The sacks are loaded with grain, and again, as before, unbeknownst to the brothers, with the silver used to purchase it. Additionally, Joseph's distinctive personal silver drinking cup is hidden in Benjamin's sack. Now, personally, had I been the brothers, I would have taken a pretty careful look in these sacks before heading out of town. Fool me once, but not twice. But they don't. And before you know it, they're hardly past city limits when they're pulled over, and the steward has been told what to say. "We've been good to you, and you've repaid us with evil. When you left the banquet, you stole my master's special silver goblet, which he not only drinks from, but uses for divination." Well, of course, the brothers are aghast. "Why does my lord say such thing? Far be it from your servants to do anything like that. We even brought back to you from the land of Canaan the silver we found inside the mouths of our sacks. Why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If any of your servants is found to have it, he will die, and the rest of us will become my lord's slaves." So the steward accepts the deal, but with an important modification. "Very well then," he says, "let it be as you say," and then he changes what they say. "Whoever is found to have it will become my slave. The rest of you will be free from blame." Now, note that the brothers had offered death to the offender and slavery to the rest, but that's not what Joseph wants. Joseph wants Benjamin. Perhaps he wants his brother by his side, whom we presume to have been innocent in the original plot to enslave Joseph. Perhaps he feels some filial attachment indicated by the 5 times larger portion of food he made sure Benjamin had been given. As for the others, well, serve them right. So the trap is set, and the brothers have walked right into it and have sprung it. The bags are searched. Curiously, no mention is made of the silver which had been replaced in the bags. And, what have we here? The silver cup. And in Benjamin's sack. Now pay attention. Not that you haven't been, just this. According to the steward's pronouncement, whoever is found to have it will become my, that is, Joseph's slave. The rest of you will be free from blame. Right? But what happens? We read this. At this, they tore their clothes, a sign of grief and distress. Then they all loaded their donkeys and returned to the city. This is the most important thing that goes on in the whole story, this line. They all loaded their donkeys and returned to the city. You see, the brothers are showing a unified front. They are unwilling that one of their number should become a slave while they themselves are free. Maybe there is something going on here that the brothers have finally learned. So, Joseph is still in the house, awaiting their return. When Judah and his brothers came in, they throw themselves to the ground before him. There's the dream coming true again. And Joseph, still playing the part of the aggrieved and mystical Egyptian official, says to them, "What is this you have done? Don't you know that a man like me can find things out by divination?" Or other more devious means, perhaps, like hiding a silver cup in someone's sack when you're not looking. But the brothers don't know that. Surprisingly, it is Judah, 4th in line, who takes the lead and speaks on behalf of all the brothers. Well, why isn't it Reuben? After all, Reuben was the only one to object to the original plot to sell Joseph as a slave. And there's a good reason for this, as we'll discover. So once again, Judah makes a statement showing the brothers' newfound sense of unity. "What can we say to my lord?" Judah replied. And then he repeats, "What can we say? How can we prove our innocence? God has uncovered your servant's guilt." This is an admission of guilt. "We are now my lord's slaves, we ourselves and the one who was found to have the cup." Now, it would have been all too easy to say, "Benjamin did it, he's all yours, see you later." But no, Judah says, we're all guilty. We are all your slaves, all of us together. But Joseph doesn't want them all. He wants Benjamin. He says, far be it from me to do such a thing. Only the man who is found to have the cup will become my slave. The rest of you go back to your father in peace. Goodbye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And now Judah proves himself as the true leader among the brothers. He makes a moving speech, more or less recapping all that has occurred up to this point, omitting only the bit about selling one of their brothers into slavery, saying only that the brother of this youngest son is dead. Nevertheless, it's a good speech. Except for leaving out the one thing Joseph was perhaps waiting most to hear. You know, we had another brother, but we made a horrible mistake, which resulted in him being lost to us, to our everlasting and eternal regret. We're not about to make that mistake again. Judah doesn't say that. Now, really, is that what Joseph wanted? Was that Joseph's whole intent in this whole missing cup plot, to give the brothers one more chance to confess? Well, if it was, he didn't get it. Certainly not from Judah. You may remember that way back in chapter 37, after all, it was Judah's idea to sell Joseph as a slave. But in fairness, back in chapter 37, we read, they plotted to kill him while Reuben planned a secret rescue. It was all the brothers who had agreed to kill him. But it was Judah who changed the plan from kill to sell. You may remember his words, after all, he's our brother, our own flesh and blood. Let's not kill him. Let's just sell him into slavery. Nice guy. So Judah is kind of halfway responsible for Joseph being sold into slavery. He's also halfway responsible for Joseph not being killed. But Judah doesn't bring any of this up. Instead, he plays the dear old dad card. He said, if the boy, meaning Benjamin, is not with us when I go back to your servant my father, and if my father, whose life is closely bound up with the boy's life, sees that the boy isn't there, he will die. Your servants will bring the gray head of our father down to the grave in sorrow. How, O mighty Egyptian, how could you do this to a poor, grieving old man who has already lost so much? So, appealing to Joseph's sympathy, remember, he still doesn't know it's Joseph. Appealing to the Egyptian official's sympathy. And now, on a more practical sense, Judah plays his final card. He makes a proposal. And it's to his great credit. And perhaps it's the foundation of why his tribe, the tribe of Judah, is ultimately favored above the rest. Remember, it's from the tribe of Judah, which generations later, from the time of our story, King David will arise. It's the tribe of Judah which will absorb the tribe of Benjamin and will continue on when the other 10 tribes are destroyed and scattered by the Assyrians. And it's the tribe of Judah from whom the Messiah will arise, the Messiah we know as Jesus. We tend to think of Jesus most as the descendant of King David, and he is. But go further back, and it is to Judah that Jesus can trace his ancestral line. And perhaps this proposal, which is maybe the first and only truly decent thing anyone has done in this whole sordid tale, the proposal is as follows. Please let your servant remain here as my Lord's slave in place of the boy, and let the boy return with his brothers. How can I go back to my father if the boy is not with me? No, do not let me see the misery that would come on my father. Please enslave me instead. Well, so the chapter ends. Another cliffhanger. What will Joseph do? And what do we do with this chapter, this third time through, this here and gone and there and back? Well, the ancient rabbis are a great help to us here. They clarify the purpose of the silver goblet test. And it's this. Will the older 10 brothers jettison Benjamin, cast him aside when his presence becomes inconvenient, as they once did Joseph? Or have they finally learned the painful lesson about family solidarity? And what happens as a result of the silver goblet test? Judah offers to take the place of Benjamin, who had in Jacob's heart taken the place of Joseph. The brother responsible for selling Joseph into slavery now freely offers himself as a slave to Joseph in order to save Jacob's life. I better say that again. Judah offers to take the place of Benjamin, who had, in Jacob's heart, taken the place of Joseph. The brother responsible for selling Joseph into slavery now freely offers himself as a slave to Joseph in order to save Jacob's life. Things have come full circle, and the nearly fatal rift in the family is about to be healed. And we'll see how. No more tricks, I promise. We'll see how next time in Genesis chapter 45 as we read the Bible together. We'll see you then.